I live outside of time and space, so I need the numbers there to rein me in. So, how many of you have ever been madly in love, like top of your head, tip of your toe, obsessive, joyous, crazy love, and how that feels? And what if money felt that way about you? Wanted to be with you, sees you better than you see yourself, holds you as more creative, powerful, resourceful, kind, loving, generous, powerful than you see yourself. Quick disclaimer. It's a totally arbitrary cosmic joke that I talk about money, because when I talk about money, I'm really talking about our relationship with life. But money is the most elegant pain door for the insecurity and the challenges of being a human being. And I'm so honored and humbled to be in today's lineup with a NASA scientist. I come from a family of science geeks, so I love, love, love science. And we have our disaster economist, and we have our holistic real doctor, and we have my genius friend Linda. So this is just an honor, and it's fun, and I've been a coach. This is my 22nd year. I've spoken on stages all around the world. Very often it's the same people. And what's so cool about being here is it's outside that little kind of incestuous pool of e-commerce personal development where you have like real brains in the room. Cut that, right? Cut that. Okay. So when I talk about relationship with money, I'm really going to be talking about relationship with life. It just so happens that money was an area of really impressive failure for me. After my Smith College degree and, just like acing a lot of really difficult things in my life, and it was just the car accident, the coma, the ballet, all of that kind of stuff. And it was that money piece. And I'm a Capricorn, so I was supposed to be naturally good at that. And even after half a dozen coaching certifications and a real natural ear for marketing and hard work and good grades and all that nonsense, and I was in Los Angeles struggling to make $100 a month, which is crazy if you know anything about living in LA. And I had to dig deep and find out what was going on, what was in the way, because on paper it didn't make sense. On paper I should have been doing really, really well. And so I'm going to be talking about how we unconsciously protect ourselves from what we want. I will probably talk about money mostly, but this also applies every bit as much to love. By the way, all money issues are love issues. Health, success, fame, whatever it is, if you are just knocking yourself out trying to achieve a goal and you aren't getting it, in my experience, coaching thousands of people over 22 years, if you are doing all that stuff you're supposed to be doing and you aren't getting the results you're supposed to be getting, odds are super high that you are protecting yourself from what you want, and you are not an idiot, and you are not a failure, and it is not an accident. You are just very, very good at protecting yourself from a very real threat that needs to be uncovered so that we can deal with it. So the funny thing about money, last year My client Perry, who went with me on my goddess retreat in Bali in 2013, announced on stage introducing me at the Sun Valley Wellness Festival that she'd made over $12 million in those 3 years. My client Pam, who had actually bought my book and had used my book privately for 2 years before I had ever met her, had her first $250,000 month in sales using my self-study book, Financial Alchemy, and then hired me and went from being an employee with no savings to owning a $3 million company that is on track to grow to $30 million in the next 3 to 5 years. Let's see, I had 2 other people who broke $1 million for the first time in their lives last year, and I'm trying to remember who they are. This is embarrassing. Okay, looking up to the left. One of them was Sun Valley, and I'm just blanking. So, and then I had Shalini and Dr. Jody hit 6 figures for the first time. So the fun thing about having like a money niche, especially when money is not my primary passion, is just numbers are good for marketing. So I'm getting that out of the way for credibility. So when I talk about relationship with money, people latch on to the, what I call the money honey side of the equation, where I was in Bali leading my retreat May of last year, and a woman from Estonia came up to me when I was taking my retreat to my favorite witch doctor on the last day, and she said, "Excuse me, are you Morgana Ray? I bought your book 5 years ago and it changed my life," which is really, really cool. And she said, she said, "You're the money honey lady, right?" And so that, I get tagged with that, but I'm not a law of attraction coach. I'm not teaching magical, positive thinking, money manifestation. But I get along very, very, very well with the law of attraction, positive thinking crowd. But before we can get to that, we need to start with where we are and what's in the way, and the very good reasons we protect ourselves from what we want, whether it's money, love, or health. I believe that change happens at the speed of safety. And regardless of what is going on outside of you, regardless of what the circumstances are, our job as human beings is to always be bigger than the circumstance. That is the game we signed up for. So we need to find a safe place in ourselves to create change. And the first place to start is with getting really honest with what has not been safe, where we have been hurt, where we feel not good enough. And for those of you who are having financial anxiety and want to use this for money, I would encourage you to look in areas of your life that appear to have nothing to do with money, because that's where you're going to find the root cause. So I have a 6-step process. And for those of you who've seen me before, some of this is going to be familiar. And then there's going to be stuff that I'm going to sneak in that you haven't heard before. I have some good news and some bad news. The good news is I don't script anything, so I don't know ahead of time what's going to come out of my mouth. The bad news is I don't script anything, so I don't know ahead of time what's going to come out of my mouth. But I promise to hit certain points because I'm here to serve. So the first step to change, and one of my favorite teachers said, correctly identifying the problem is 95% of the solution. So we're actually going to be starting and spending the most time on the problem. And this is the part that I call the money monster. Or you can call it love monster or life monster. Sidebar, many years after I had done this for my relationship with money and had, built a level of success and financial ease and all that, I was still single and brokenhearted because I've been looking for my soulmate since I chased Brian Patterson under the piano at his 5th birthday, and he was the older man. So in 2012, I did this process on love and my love monster, and then I met my husband 4 months later. Okay, so uncovering the root cause. Whether it's money or love or health, whatever you've been pursuing, it is going to be whatever has made you feel unsafe, unloved, or unworthy. Really great places to look are sex, our relationship with our body, especially women. I don't know if I've ever met a woman who does not have some issue with her own attractiveness, her sexuality, her lovability. It's all kind of wrapped up in this knot of what is a woman's worth in the world. We're not fools. We know that our economic value in the marketplace is tied up with our appearance. So our relationship with money is going to be tied up with our relationships with sex and beauty and all that stuff. Men, too. It's just different for men. In fact, I think it's more difficult for men. Men have bigger, badder, harder to kill monsters they're supposed to, because that's what makes them a hero on the other side. So I have a lot of compassion for men. You also tend to have, well, I was going to say bigger money windfalls, but all that changed last year. Sorry. So looking back, eating disorders, abusive parents, unsafe home condition, critical teachers. By the way, our parents are our first relationship with money because they housed us and clothed us and fed us and told us what we're worth like money does later in life. And then there are people who had great relationships with their parents, and then life didn't work out the way it was promised. So that feels like a bait and switch, like you were lied to, like everything was easy and suddenly it isn't, and what's wrong with me? Betrayals from romantic partners, business partners, accidents, health issues, whatever has made the world feel unsafe, what has ever made you feel unloved, unworthy, ashamed, embarrassed. You don't have to get everything. You don't have to re-traumatize yourself. This was an interesting thing that came up this year, a couple months ago, with a neuroscientist client of mine. She kept trying to do the process on her own. She actually had years of success and then wanted to go deeper and was just, she would go into her life trauma so much that she would dissociate. We want to stop before we get there. And I'm actually going to give you 2 tricks for doing the process on your own. I started a online group coaching program about 3 months ago that's starting again on Monday. And I've been really, really heartened with all of the people who are coaching themselves through the process without my having to do it for them. That is like my dream of leverage, being able to help people effectively more and more without killing myself in the process. So these are the tricks that I've been telling them. Have a silent witness. If there is anybody in your life that you can trust to be there and shut up and see you at your worst and hear your deepest shame and secrets and not interfere, not try to coach you, not try to fix it, not judge you, just shut up and trust you to dig yourself into that hole and come back out, that is golden. Because having a witness, having that person there, is like your safety cord to come back out. Those little tube safety, you know what I'm talking about. It's like your lifeline. You can go deeper in the presence of a safe person than by yourself. And that's the scary thing of doing it, because I'm the world's worst client. I can't let anybody coach me through my own process because I made it up. The first time it happened by accident with a coach. I probably should be telling my story. I told you I don't plan. But after that, I've only been able to coach myself. And there gets that point where thou shalt not cross. where your psyche protects you from going as far as you could go safely. Having a witness there can make the difference. So that's probably my biggest secret for those of you who want to do the work on your own. Would anybody like to hear my story? Yeah. How's that for a smooth segue, right? Okay. Here's how this came about. And I'm going to tell you my story. And in the story are going to be embedded the 6 steps of the process that I'm going to teach you. And then I'll come back out and I'll get all linear and name the steps. So in the beginning, back in 2003, I'd already been a coach for 9 years. I had movie star clients, producer clients. I was focusing on Hollywood at the time. And I had actors and actresses with no credits getting primetime TV series as writers and actors, and a first-time director selling his first film for $500,000, which was money back then. And I had a reputation. And I had my vision board and my affirmations and my millionaire mindset and my business cards and my tagline and my website and brochures and all that, because, you know, I was a smithy and I'm a great student, and I'm making $100 a month, which is horrible when you're telling people you can help them with their lives and you have this shameful, heavy secret. And people wanted to hire me, and I had like superhuman powers to repel. And it was infuriating because I was actually a far better coach, getting far better results than a lot of coaches I knew who were actually charging real money. So I discovered at that moment that I have the capacity to be simultaneously superior and inferior. It's like a juggling act. Better than and worse than. So I kept taking classes. I'm not making money. I have a coach. I'm taking all these classes. I complete a class on overcoming sales objections. For those who don't know what that means, there are scripts that will tell you what to say if somebody says I can't afford it or I don't have time or anything else like that. And I was such a good student that 7 people in a row, I went through the script. They said yes, they'd work with me, and 0 showed up. 0 hired me. And that's when, as my husband would say, the wheels went off the truck. And I lost it. I ran out of hope. I fell into a deep despair, and I remember just dragging the curtain shut in my little bedroom, the crypt, getting on my bed and screaming. Just screaming with fear, anger, rage, hurt. I finally found what I was here to do, which is to help people. And I was really good at it. And I couldn't make a living at it, which seemed like a cruel cosmic joke. And I hated the universe, and the universe hated me, and I wanted to leave. You know, I had survived the car accident, the homelessness, the violent addict mom, and a lot of bullshit. And it was really that kind of giving up on myself and giving up on life, which was the most dangerous moment in my life, which is why I take this so seriously. Because economic anxiety is so personal. We will talk about sex in a loud voice in a crowded restaurant, but we will not talk about how much money we make or don't make, because it's far more dangerous. So I wanted to die. And I just cried and cried and cried and cried and cried until I cried myself out. And then I had 2 ideas. And the first one was money needed to be my next area of spiritual growth, which honestly is a cheat because I'm from Southern California, so spirituality comes easy for me. So I thought if I tag money onto that, maybe I could deal with it. And the other one was I became curious about what was going on inside of me that couldn't be with money. And the next day I had my next coaching call. And this is where things got interesting. This is where things changed. where first my coach asked me a very basic good coaching question, which was what happened with money growing up. And I thought of things that I hadn't thought of in 20 years. A stolen inheritance was a really big deal by a person who is one of the people I loved most in the world. Stolen college trust fund from the person I took my first baby steps to. And all of this happened around 12 years old. And I made a decision without realizing it, but it was a very healthy decision at the time that money got in the way of love. That wasn't what I thought I was deciding at the time. At the time, I made a decision that I was hearing grown-ups talking trash about each other. I loved all of them. I chose love and decided this is just a grown-up issue, which is a really good decision for a 12-year-old. I didn't know that it would affect me until 20 years later when I looked at my circumstances. So that was a light going on. I was like, well, pardon me, the odds of my dropping an F-bomb are astronomically high, but I'm going to do my best to hold off. But it's like, holy heck, no wonder I've got money issues. That isn't how I found my root cause, by the way, because the root cause is never actually about money. But I was so lucky to be so close to that feeling of despair and hurt and rage against life that it was like I was ready to pop. So the person here who is in the most fear and anxiety wins. You've got a huge advantage. Congratulations. This is how I part ways a little bit with the law of attraction crowd. Instead of, no, don't have those negative feelings, I'm like, make them bigger. Magnify it. It would be such a waste to go through hell and not use it. It's not what happens to us in life because we don't have a say on that. It's what we do with it. So it would be such a waste to go through whatever horrible thing you've gone through in life and not use it for your personal empowerment and liberation. Because you don't want to have to go through it again, right? So step number 1 is uncover the pain. Almost like a lawyer. It doesn't even matter what the specifics are. I don't even care if they're true or not. It's if you have feeling around it. Okay, so aha moment. Oh my gosh, there were bad things that happened with money. Then the next question, this is where things got very interesting. My coach in an inspired moment said, well, if your money was a person, who would that money be? And whoa, suddenly in my overactive imagination, I saw my money. And he was this big, scary, dirty, violent biker who caused fights. He was in a wife-beater shirt. He had tattoos. He had the long sideburns. He was scary. I think he was bald. I have nothing against bikers, and that kind of guy is like, turn some women on. This was a bad dude. And I could feel my whole body recoil. And it was as if I were at a live event. I would have my eyes on him all the time to keep maximum distance. I never knew that I felt that way about money until I made it a person. It's like it made my unconscious conscious. Even the words, dirty, violent, scary. I didn't know that I felt that way about money. Who thinks that way? You think, I want it to buy stuff. But there's this unconscious relationship as if it was a person. And I stress the importance of making it a person, especially on the monster side, because that makes it real. I have a lot of colleagues who talk about relationship with money, and they say it's energy, they say it's a measure of value, that it's a tool. Yeah, Deepak Chopra says it's a divine field of abundance. Great. I don't have a clue how to have a relationship with the divine field. But I have a lot of experience with people. And fortunately, I even had experience with bad boyfriends, which came in really handy. So it was very clear to me with the way that I felt about this biker that there was no way that I could ever have money in my life if this was my money, because he was scary and dangerous. And I lived in LA, which is a real problem because you need to have money there. So I had to get rid of the biker completely. And I'll get back to that, but technically that's step number 3, which created a new problem. And this is the trajectory of my life. Yay! Oh, fuck! I promised you. You get what you want, and that creates a new problem. That is life. Congratulations. Now you have a new problem. And I had just gotten rid of my money monster, and I live in LA, and I need to have a relationship with money. Oh, heck, what do I do? So I thought to myself, and by the way, this only works not as an intellectual exercise, and let's check how we're doing on time. Okay. A lot of people talk about mindset and money mindset. And I believe that if mindset were enough, nobody in America would ever have to diet again. So I believe that our motivations are deeper. And I think even Linda would agree, because I've studied NLP, and it's not just in the head. It's like connected to everything. So I talk about a heart set. The mind will always follow. Or even deeper, our appetites. And so when you create the monster and you create the person, you want it to be real, full body ick. Only one of you is going to survive. Because at its deepest level, it represents your death wish. And everything wrong with the world. It's not about money at all, although money is a very useful reference point when you look at what money is doing. Climate change, war. People are 1.5 million people do not have electricity or clean water in Puerto Rico. By the way, Randy, I was thinking about Puerto Rico the whole time you were speaking. Horrible, horrible things happen in the name of money. And people who do horrible things in the name of money do not have healthy relationships with money. They live in terror and fear. People who have healthy relationships with life and feel safe and loved don't kill other people. So this really is, it starts with you and then it spirals out. This is how we save the world, is first by working on ourselves. So I had to get rid of the biker. I'll get back to that later. And I have a new problem. I have no relationship with money, and I need to have one. So I asked myself, well, who could I want in my life so much I'd be willing to have that person in my life, even if it's money? Because I felt so burnt from a lifetime of disappointment and failure and betrayal and all the other stuff that comes in that I dug up later, the eating disorder, a lifetime. By the way, I bring in eating disorders because those are so useful to throw into your monster. Because all an eating disorder is a desire to not exist. It's a very slow, inelegant form of suicide. So I asked myself, who would I want in my life so much that I would want that person even if it's money? And bingo presto, this tall, dark, handsome young man in a tuxedo holding a bouquet of red flowers pops into my mind's eye, and he's in love with me. And that's weird, because I never thought of money first as a person and then as a good person who loved me. But it also felt really nice. And a couple of pointers on what I call the money honey, which got its name when I was speaking at a conference in 2005, and somebody in the audience blurted out something about our money honey, and I just kept it. Here are the rules. First, the monster has to be completely gone. Otherwise, you will never get a clear connection. I like to say that the bed is not big enough for the three of you, and your money monster will cock block your money honey. because I'm that kind of a coach. So the monster needs to be rejected, completely annihilated. And then all that's left in the world is love, which we personify as a person. And it works best with a lover archetype. Because after I keep wandering off my story, but after I had my transformation, I picked up 4 clients the next day at double the most I'd ever charged before, and they just kept coming and coming and coming until I started getting waiting lists and raising my rates, and it just has never stopped. But what was the point I was going to make? Oh, right. So I got all these clients, not marketing this. It took me a year or 2 to come out of the prosperity closet before I started sharing any of this. But I started trying it on guinea pigs who were my clients, who were hiring me for other stuff. And it was working like a lead balloon. Because it worked for me. And it's like, well, why isn't this working for you? And I started to discover very, very specific things are necessary. The monster is never about money. Money is the symptom, not the cause. The monster has to be all bad. We are not treating it like shadow work. We are not making it a part of you. The monster is separate. Even though it's coming from your mind, we could say that about the entire world. You have no experience in life except what you filter through your own nervous system and brain. So we treat the monster as outside yourself. It was not caused by you. You did not invent it. It arose through life events, world events, your personal experiences, your personal wounds. But we make it outside yourself so we can destroy it without destroying you. I love, love, love integrating secret selves and shadows and parts and all that kind of stuff. This is different. This is the exception. Because this is everything that does not belong in your value system. Animal torture, human trafficking, GMOs, whatever. Throw it in there. This is the stuff that does not belong in your life that you reject. And then through a wild leap of imagination, you give it personhood. It is not going to look like your parents, even if your parents were super monstrous, and some parents really are. But they gave you life. And if you would not kill your parents in real life, and I would trust if you're in this room, that's not going to happen. We're not going to try to make you imagine the impossible. So your monster used your parents like puppets. But the monster is bigger than your parents, so you don't have to kill your parents. There's a very good coaching program called the Hoffman Institute, founded the year I was born in 1967. And they have you pretend to kill your parents. And if they were interested, in my opinion, I would adjust that, but they're not, so they'll keep doing their thing. But especially for my vegan love and light workers, it feels good to have a place where you can be a wrathful, avenging warrior. That is the energy that rises us out of victimhood. And by the way, I think victim experience and victim energy is really, really valuable, and we do not reject that. We use it to rise up. You can let yourself sink to the bottom of the pool so you have something to push up against. We do not disallow it. We use it. Again, it would be such a shame to go through what you've gone through and not turn it into gold, which is why I call this process alchemy. It's the transmutation of leaden human experience into gold, whatever context. So give yourself permission to be, especially women, have challenge with this. Great. I'll wrap it up really quickly. Slay that monster by any means necessary. It's your imagination. You can do it. Then you have space to meet the opposite, the lover. This was one of the things that I figured out coaching clients. is the lover archetype works better. I had a client who originally wanted her money honey to be a playmate, and they would play in the sandbox, and nothing happened. 2 weeks later, she said, I think I'm going to make him Viggo Mortensen. And then she made $10,000 that day. There's something that motivates us with love, especially those of us who have been wounded. This heals so much deep stuff about love, about sex, about life. I mean, the impulse to have sex is a life impulse, just like to eat, or even to shop and decorate, and to go out there and save the world. These are all life impulses that then turn into weapons on ourselves. So we really want to reclaim them back in healthy ways. Oh, side note, everything that I'm teaching you about money works exactly, it actually works even better with relationship and love. Hello, proof. But this is my favorite thing to watch with clients, is it reprograms your relationship with love. All money issues are love issues underneath. So you meet your money honey. It works better with the lover archetype. Yeah, I told you the Viggo Mortensen. There was another one that I thought was fun. Oh, well. Then you have a conversation. Going back to my story. So there's this handsome, romantic money honey who loves me and wants to be with me, who I've been breaking his heart all these years by treating him like a monster. So I ask him, what does he need from me so he can stay with me? By the way, this is one of the reasons the lover archetype works better than making your money honey God, or your future self, or your fairy godmother, or Gandhi, or Oprah, or a dog or a cat, or a unicorn. Okay, story. Somebody saw me speak at a bookstore years ago, went home, did the work, made his money honey a unicorn, had the worst financial year of his life. Not what I want to hear, right? He calls me up and it's like, how did it work? It was terrible. Ugh. And then he told me that I asked him, well, tell me about your money honey. And he said it was a unicorn. I was like, well, of course. Unicorns don't exist. And you can't fill in the blank. So we did the process, made it a human woman, and then he had a very good year. So I totally could have dropped the F-bomb there, but I didn't. So step number 5 is you have a conversation with your money honey. My favorite first question is, what do you need from me so you can stay with me? It is not, what do you need from me so that you will love me or want me? That is a given. Your money honey, by definition, loves you more than anybody in the world, chooses you. This is your relationship with money. This is your relationship with life. No matter what, your money honey loves you. You may push it away, it doesn't leave. But you can drive it away and repel it and push it away by disrespecting yourself, becoming complacent, cheating on your money honey by giving away your services to people who don't appreciate you, don't pay you, give you excuses, don't respect you as clients, as relationship partners, family. Self-respect, self-love, self-care become very, very high financial priorities. It's a good place to start. So you have that conversation with your money honey. You find out what he says or she says. My money said, I need you to love me and stop treating me like a monster. And I got such a sense of how I had wounded him. This is a big piece of the lover archetype, is you're equals. You can break your money honey's heart. This is why we don't make it above you or bigger than you or more powerful than you, because money is not a fairy that is going to come and rescue you, especially from your own bad choices. That's not what evolves you or the planet. Instead, we want money to be a partner that says, go out and do that. You are so much better and smarter and creative and resourceful than you are acting like right now. So go out there. You know what you're supposed to do. Come on. That's what money does. Go for it. Believes in you. It's an expansive, not a critical feeling or sound or energy when you're wondering which it is. And then finally, step number 6, and I'll go through all the numbers and wrap it up, action. Take concrete, measurable action to make this new relationship real in your body. If you want tangible, real-world results, take tangible, real-world action. Action is magical. It gets it in your body. It makes it real, not some great little masturbatory idea. I love ideas. I love masturbation. But we need more than that. So the steps are, step number 1, uncover the root cause. I would spend the most time there just digging like a lawyer until you get enough feeling that it's intolerable. The money monster is going to be all bad. Get a witness so you can go deeper than you would go by yourself. You may be able to get there by yourself. Lots of people do. But if you find yourself stopping yourself, find a safe, silent witness. Really, really key is they cannot coach you. They have to agree to just trust you, to dig yourself as deep as you need to be and come out the other side with just loving confidence in you. Step number 2 is then, through a big leap of imagination, you take all the crap that you came up with about your life in the world and you blame it on an imaginary person that we'll call your money monster or your love monster. Those are even bigger and scarier. Whatever is coming up for you. It will not look like a fiery pit or a big heavy rock or a dark cloud. Those have come up. That doesn't work. It's harder to get rid of them. It's not personal enough. If you don't see things automatically, and I would say the majority of people don't see things instantly. Start with kinesthetic. How big is it? What's the temperature? Move into smell. What does it smell like? What does it think about you? What does it say to you? The worst things you've ever said to yourself, put it in the mouth of the monster. And then slowly start to, what color is it? What is it wearing? What do his eyes look like? What does its mouth look like? Then bring it into personhood. And then slay the beast. Use an atom bomb if you need to. This is your imagination. You can use anything. It is the commitment that will make it happen. And honestly, I've had many clients who really thought they couldn't. And everybody can. Because that's your job in life. And when it is gone, just scan and make sure it's all gone. It's like pregnancy. It either is or it isn't. If there's a little bit left, then create a little monster. And I've sometimes had to go through 5 layers before it was all gone. Then you have an empty space to meet your money honey, your new relationship with money, your new relationship with life, yourself, and existence. And it will be all love. Decide where you want to meet your money honey. Then see him or her walk towards you, embrace. Don't put him under the interrogation lamp right away. Again, start with the kinesthetic, the feeling, the smell, the thoughts of being with this new person. Ease into the new relationship. And then look at your life as a team. And then start learning how to have conversations with your money honey. What does your money honey want for you? What does your money honey want you to know? Money, I'm feeling anxious. What do you want me to do so I can feel less anxious? Money, what do you want me to learn here so I can finally let go of this struggle? And listen and then take action to let yourself, your money honey, and the universe know that you are committed to something different, that a real change has happened. And I think this wraps us up exactly at the moment. So I'm going to close with, this is your relationship with life. This is your relationship with self. We live in a world where we have to deal with money. You're going to have a relationship with money for the rest of your life. So make it one based on love. Namaste.
That was
16 seconds to go.
Hello? There we go. That was so lovely, Morgana. She's just the most wonderful person. And like I said, in the area of money, she created a life of ease for me just by being who she is and what she contributes. So thank you so much. And she has a surprise for someone in the audience. She mentioned her new program.
Yeah, I created a new program called My Results Accelerator. It's different from anything else that I saw out there. It actually answers the problem that I see where we are selling content but not giving support. So this flips it around, and it's really all accountability, all relationship, all participation driven with lots of prizes and rewards to gamify it and addict people to forward action. And the results I've been seeing in terms of self-love and self-care and money have been really shocking, where Marshall, you know, I do all this stuff with goddesses and women, and then I leave all of my beloved men out in the cold, so this one includes men. Marshall saw a $12,000 a month increase to his usual $4,000, $5,000 a month income just by baby steps. I think oh wait, Randy had the power of one. I think that's been a theme here, is like, I think that we psych ourselves out with this call to massive action, big impact. And really, in my experience, the best way to have big impact and make massive changes is by making it smaller, easier, sidestepping the resistance, baby steps. Change happens at the speed of safety. So I created, all of my other coaching programs are thousands of dollars a month. This one is $200 a month, and I'm giving a month membership to somebody who wants it. So that's the game we're playing. Somebody who's present and actually wants it. Kathy Noah.
Not here. Okay.
Sally. Woo! Perfect. So, Sally, I will get your information and set you up. The program begins on Monday. All online, doesn't matter what time zone you're in.
Fabulous. And then we also, if you want to do a throw, we also have a fabulous article in Published Magazine when it was smaller than it is now with Devin and her interview. So. Okay, fantastic. And if you can give that to Don, he can get it to her. Don, can you get the magazine over to her?